Imagine you're standing at the controls of a runaway train. The train is just tearing down the tracks, and the brakes are totally gone. Ahead of you, there are 5 workers repairing a section of the railway, and they have absolutely no idea what's coming. You know for a fact that if this train keeps going on its current path, all 5 of them are going to die. But wait, you spot a lifeline. There's a side track branching off to the right, and there's only 1 worker standing on that track. And right there in front of you is a lever. You've got just enough control left to switch the train onto that side track.
So it's 5 versus 1. It's just the raw, undeniable math of the situation. If you do nothing, 5 people die. If you pull the lever, 1 person dies. You are essentially trading 1 single life to save 5. So, what should you do? At first glance, the answer feels pretty obvious, right? Most of us would instinctively just pull the lever. Saving 5 lives just seems infinitely better than letting 5 people die when you could only sacrifice 1. But what we really want to unpack today is why. Why does that answer feel so undeniably correct to us? Honestly, the moment we start asking why, we are stepping right into the fascinating world of moral philosophy. Now, this isn't just about blowing the dust off old theories from ancient textbooks. It's the active, real-time examination of the very assumptions that guide our everyday decisions. We have to ask ourselves, what actually makes an action right or wrong? Are we just judging actions strictly by their consequences? Or are there some things we just shouldn't ever do no matter what the outcome is? Okay, let's look at a totally new scenario and see how this logic holds up. This time, you aren't driving the train. Instead, you are standing on a bridge right above the tracks. Again, 5 workers are in terrible danger from an approaching runaway train. But standing next to you is a very large man. You realize in a split second that if this man were to fall onto the tracks, his body would be heavy enough to actually stop the train before it ever reached the workers. The 5 workers would survive, but the man, he would die. So would you push him? It's fascinating, because when you present people with this choice, most folks who are absolutely ready to pull the lever completely refuse to push the man. But look at the outcomes. In the first scenario, pulling the lever means 1 dies and 5 live. In the second scenario, pushing the man means 1 dies and 5 live. The mathematics are literally identical. This massive contradiction reveals something incredibly important about human nature. It forces us to ask, why on earth does our moral judgment change so dramatically? If the consequences are exactly the same, why does the action feel so profoundly different? Well, maybe consequences aren't the only thing that matters here. This setup suggests there might be a deep, fundamental difference between just redirecting an existing threat, like pulling a lever, and deliberately using an actual person as a physical tool to get what you want. All right, let's dive into the first major lens that helps us make sense of this dilemma: utilitarianism. This is a highly influential moral theory that basically argues the right action is whatever produces the greatest amount of happiness and the absolute least amount of suffering. Under this view, morality is entirely about the consequences. If an action bumps up overall well-being, it's justified. The philosopher Jeremy Bentham was a huge champion of this idea. He argued that nature actually placed humanity under the rule of 2 masters, pleasure and pain. According to Bentham, everything we do is driven by this deep desire to seek pleasure and avoid suffering. Because of that, he believed that every single decision, policy, or law should just aim to maximize happiness for the greatest number of people. And hey, it sounds pretty great, right? Like, who is going to object to maximizing happiness? Well, things get a little tricky when we take that logic to its breaking point. Let's shift gears to a completely different environment. Imagine a hospital with 5 patients, and all 5 are going to die today if they don't get organ transplants. 1 needs a heart, 1 needs a liver, 1 needs a kidney, another needs lungs, and the 5th needs some other vital organ. Now picture a perfectly healthy visitor just walking right into this hospital, popping in for a standard, routine examination. The doctors suddenly realize that if they secretly kill this perfectly healthy person and harvest their organs, they can distribute them and save those 5 dying patients. We have to ask ourselves, is this morally acceptable? Look, from a strictly utilitarian viewpoint that maximize the greater good perspective, 5 lives are mathematically better than 1. It is the exact same math as pulling the lever on the train tracks. And yet, pretty much everyone immediately recoils at this hospital idea. It is a resounding hard no. So the really crucial point here is why we hesitate. We pause because beneath all that math, we inherently believe that individuals possess a fundamental human dignity. we feel in our bones that beneficial social outcomes, no matter how amazing they are, just cannot justify violating a person's fundamental rights. The philosopher Immanuel Kant actually formalized this exact idea. He famously said, "Every person must be treated as an end in themselves." Basically, Kant was arguing that every single human being has intrinsic worth. People aren't objects, we aren't resources, and we definitely aren't spare parts to be used for the benefit of someone else. This rights-based principle puts some very strict limits on what we are allowed to do, even when we're trying our best to chase a mathematically good outcome.
Which brings us to a major real-world clash: utilitarianism versus rights. This huge clash between utilitarian thinking and rights-based thinking is not just some theoretical puzzle for a classroom. It brilliantly illustrates how modern societies constantly struggle to balance the collective welfare against personal liberties. Think about it. Do we protect free speech because it creates better consequences for society, or because it's a fundamental right regardless of what happens? We see this exact same tension popping up in global debates over digital privacy, equality, criminal justice, and national security. You know, a lot of the beliefs we hold about these issues just feel natural to us simply because we inherited them from our culture and we rarely stop to actually examine them. But as Socrates so famously put it, the unexamined life is not worth living. By evaluating these moral questions, philosophy challenges those unexamined values. It invites us to take a breath. It provokes reflection, and yeah, it often leads to some pretty uncomfortable intellectual growth as we spot the contradictions in our own thinking. Because real-life situations are incredibly messy. When these different principles inevitably collide out there in the real world, we're forced to pause, really examine our reasoning, and ask ourselves honestly, do outcomes matter most? Should we really just be aiming for the greatest good for the greatest number? Or, on the flip side, do fundamental human rights matter most? Are there hard, non-negotiable boundaries that we absolutely must not cross, no matter what the math is telling us? Or maybe, just maybe, it's more about the heart and the mind. When we're judging an action, do intentions, fairness, and the actual consent of the individual matter above all else? There really is no shortcut around these questions. Every single individual and every new generation has to revisit them. Because the search for justice isn't just about studying laws. It's a deep exploration of human nature itself. Ultimately, it's the search for wisdom. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a